believe in monsters? What if you can't see the monsters around you? What if they infiltrated your friends, your family, your rack without you even knowing? What if the monsters look just like you?
All right, Hannah, so your career is sort of the mark of a modern actress. You did all this classical training, you did dance, and you started your career as a cat. In a video game.
In a video game. Well, no, I trained at drama school, and then actually my first role was a TV role called Whitechapel.
Right, Whitechapel.
And I did some, I did The Hour, Misfits, and then I did the voice for Dark Souls, the cat, as well.
Now, with all that physicality, actors tend to be either internal-based or movement-based.
Mm-hmm.
And as a dancer, you guys tend to be, well, I did the same thing, but tend to be movement-based, and then you have to go so small for this very sort of haunting, mysterious, still character in voice. You have no body. Was that a unique challenge?
I think actually, I mean, when I did my dance training and when I went to drama school, they kind of shook that out of me a little bit, so it kind of then all became internalized. And then with, what I find is actually with voice and radio is you actually have a certain freedom because no one's looking at you. And it is just down, it's your voice. And I think that you can still do it with your cans and the microphone, but you can then kind of embody the voice as well.
Do you get the Dark Souls fans still on top of the Killjoys fans?
I do a little bit, to be honest. I'm not aware as much of the Dark Souls fans as I am for the Sci-Fi Killjoys fans, but
they're a pretty intense group.
Oh,
that's like one of the hardest video games out there in terms of difficulty. So it's got this status among people, sort of an elite thing in gaming. Do you find working that way in video games significantly different from television, or does it all work?
I think it's just a different. It's like a different. I think each section of your career is very. It's all the same thing. It's performing. It's telling a story, but you're just doing it in a very different way. So it's the same thing, but it's not.
Now with Killjoys and Misfits and all this sci-fi stuff, acting has changed in that used to be sort of a stigmatized thing. It's not anymore. Especially, I mean, in Doctor Who, out of the BBC, had a lot to do with that. When you started in the sci-fi stuff, was there a bit of a psych out factor of, I am going to do this, this is a commitment, or has it just blown right open so you don't have to be concerned about that anymore?
I think for me, I was just drawn to the character. For me, it was just this incredible character that I get to play and create this whole new world. And I think that for me, it was just what was drawn, like the script and the character and the relationship and the fun as well with this show. And I think the fact that it's the sci-fi kind of, okay, I'm in this world, kind of came later. I was like, great, that's awesome. But for me, it was actually character first and then everything else.
The blast can kill everyone. Watch your fire.
There's too many of them.
Keep it together, newbie.
Clear my path. Hold on, baby.
Now, this is my curiosity about how you prepare for a role like this, because you're playing a character that obviously you have no experience with being trained as an assassin. That might be an assumption. It might be not much about you. And then the whole, the sexuality of the character and everything like that. There isn't anything in this world. You're like a cross between Mata Hari, Charlotte Corday, and Annie Oakley, practically. But the audience doesn't have any point of reference for a character like Dutch either. So how do you make her real?
I think basically it's like any actor making any character real is you start on the page, then you lift it off the page. And I remember Michelle and I had great talks in preparing the character, and it's just basically truth. It all comes from truth, and embodying that and training for that physically and also mentally. I am an assassin. I have had this past. I don't know what my future is, and this is my present. And that's what you do. You put your mind as that character for anything.
Now, a lot of people would really go derivative with Dutch and think she's defined by her damage. You don't play her that way. She's a very well-rounded person. When it matters, when it's right in front of her, when the trauma gets triggered, the whole thing, then it's relevant. But she's got this really fun, very wise side to her. She's possibly the wisest character on the show in a lot of ways. How do you make sure you've got that balance?
I totally agree. I think she's definitely matured. Like, she's got that maturity, and that comes with absolutely tuning into Dutch's past, of the fact that she was trained to kill when she was a child by Klein. So she had to grow up really quick, but pretty fast. And I think for Dutch, she never ever plays the pity party. She doesn't. It's always, how do you fight that? How do you move on? We need to move past this. And sometimes there is that breaking point, and sometimes there isn't. But she fights hard, like she does in life, with her own emotions and her own turmoil.
Now, what's it like to shoot those scenes where, like, you're grabbed by the neck in an alley and everything like that, and you've got to be there, and then the director yells cut?
You have a moment to go whew afterwards and shake that off and then process. Now I'm in the real world, and get whatever notes, or talk to the director afterwards. You do need just to have that moment afterwards to break away from that.
I mean, sci-fi is heavily politicized for women. There's so much pressure on people in your jobs, expected to be this embodiment for all female fans everywhere. Do you feel that, or is that something you kind of have to push aside, and I'm just psyching you out completely right now?
I think that it's important, for sure, to not get the character wrong, and also not to shove it down anyone's throat either. Like, this is what a female should be, this is what a woman should do, because it's not at all. This is this character surviving in this world, and this is her life. And yeah, she's strong, and yeah, she's powerful, and hopefully that will inspire anyone in any way to fight things, or to be like, have a hint of that. And also in the last season, we got introduced to Anila, and that's very different. And there is going to be other characters that embody vulnerabilities in different ways than Dutch, and not everybody fights those vulnerabilities, not everybody can, and that makes the characters different, and that's what's important.
Now, Dutch's world is not the world of Killjoys, is not ours. The norms involving women are radically different. I mean, there's this sort of surrogacy storyline you do, the geopolitics of different planets. I mean, it's not homogenous at all. Has there ever been a point where you see a script and you go, this is actually hitting me in the squishy bits, I'm not comfortable with this?
I think that, the surrogacy episode, and what Hannah does is Dutch is the voice piece of voicing the concern of the situation. So when Dutch comes into that situation and goes, why are you doing this? Break free. You can do this. That's me as well going, break free. You can do this. And that's the message, that I can channel Dutch, So I get, as Dutch's morals, that's the important thing, is being, the world kind of centering around Dutch, is that her judgment and being wise is a good thing, because then it's a good message. Whether it happens or not, that's life, right? But what she stands for is always strong and true and good.
Now, Dutch is an embodiment for me because she's strong, but she's so sexy. I mean, you're so sexy.
I think it's all the leather jackets and things.
It's not just that, though. It's the eyes and the everything.
It's a passion, I think.
You bring this fierceness and vulnerability at the same time, but she's one of those characters, like Bo in Lost Girl, that make me realize there's this stuff that the world says women want in stories. And then there's what we're supposed to want in stories. And then there's what we create when we get to tell our own stories. And Dutch is one of those characters. The three things do not line up.
Oh, she lives by her own rules entirely. Yeah, absolutely.
But she's
Creator
as
exactly.
Well.
Oh,
And we're supposed to be these big prudes who don't like sex and want to be respected and demure and all this stuff. But the minute a woman gets the ability to make her own show,
exactly.
there's this hugely sexual component
Absolutely.
to the heroine. And how did you come at that going, this is something that people are going to have very strong opinions about, but you have to bring truth to it?
I think definitely there was an episode in season 1, actually, that everyone had a problem about, which was the fight between Dutch and Davin. That was quite a brutal fight.
Right.
Dutch, and I remember getting questions a lot, like, that was quite a scene to watch, a female getting hit. And I remember my response was, Dutch can kill Devon. She knows she can. She's just fighting to figure out what to do next. And it's all those choices that she makes. It's everything that she does that makes it it does make her as a character sexy, because she's always in charge. She always knows what she can do, what she can't do, when to bide her time. And with sex, sex like in this world isn't. It's not a stigma. It's not like a thing. It's just you have sex. You don't if you don't want to, and you can. And relationships are it's kind of not a thing in this world.
Is that frustrating? That I'm sure you came at it the same way I did. That she is a mercenary. He is a mercenary. They're in close quarters. He has issues. Fight ensues. People are treating that as, oh, he hit a woman. Do you find that insulting or frustrating in any regard, in that they're sort of downplaying Dutch's?
I think it's just people who didn't like to see Dutch in that position. It was
Really?
just not. I just don't like seeing Dutch in that vulnerable position. It's like, well, no, she wasn't in a vulnerable position, and it was, she knew she could fight him, and she's okay. She's a solid girl.
Bleeding on the floor.
Is Davin okay?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
Exactly. Is he okay? So there's.
Now, do you think you're just going to keep doing your thing and the world will catch up, or is this something we actually need to talk about more?
I think it's definitely something we need to talk about. I think it's definitely these kind of roles, and even though it's created in this other fantasy world, people tune in as well to escape, but also to take something from that. And I think it's so important to continue to inspire and teach as well.
Now, if you had a choice in a scene where you could either make Dutch very strong or very complicated, but pick one, you can't do both, which one would you pick?
I think with being complicated, there's strength in that as well, so complication.
All right, thank you.
Move now, go!
Where is John-Kamen?
I don't want to win just one battle. I want a whole bloody war.